Hello, welcome back to SwansCast, everyone, and finally a positive week, something good to talk about, and we're very excited to be discussing that with, as always, Lee's here with me, and got a special guest. We got Chris. I'm going to say his name wrong. Chris Stonadge.
That's right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, okay.
Absolutely
I know
bang
he
on.
literally just told me before we started, and then all of a sudden the panic set in. Like he told me how not to say it, and now all I can remember is that's how not to say it. So what's the right way? But got it right. So welcome. If you want to maybe introduce yourself and tell everyone what you do and how you come to be watching the Swans.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on straight away. First off, I mean, it's I got in contact a couple of months ago, and yeah, I definitely wanted to come on and share my views. But yeah, first off, I'm Chris. I'm originally from Herefordshire in England, so on the border of Wales. I don't class myself as Welsh or English, so I can't say anything about the rugby this weekend. Definitely not.
Let's talk about the rugby.
Let's not talk about the rugby. Definitely.
Well, they both lost anyway, so I mean.
But yeah, so I'm a student journalist as well as a professional journalist. So I'm studying at the University of South Wales in Cardiff, as well as covering the Swans for Prost International, which is a site I've worked for a couple of years. Brilliant site. I recommend you go and check it out. Coverage on pretty much all four leagues, accreditation to every league. So it's amazing. And luckily I've been able to cover the Swans a little bit last year, and now I'm starting to do it this year again. So I'm really excited to watch them. And yeah, it was certainly a great result yesterday.
Definitely was a great result, and glad to have you down here and enjoying yourself covering the Swans. So it'd be good to get, obviously, your views on board, I think, because as you said, you're not necessarily from Swansea or a Swansea fan, so a neutral perspective of what you're seeing all the time, which sometimes, we're both Swansea fans, and the people that watch this are often Swansea fans, so it's kind of like, okay, so what actually do people who like football think about what's going on who are outside the club? Because you get a different perspective, and it's important to take that in sometimes because you can get caught in a bubble, I think. So yeah, it'd be good to hear your views, and I'm sure we'll have you on a couple of times if you want to come back on, especially if
more than willing, mate. More than willing, unless you go for me this week. But no, I'm more than happy. Honestly,
let's see what you say first. Yeah, no.
But no, honestly, it's been great. The whole club and the whole city of Swansea have been so accommodating to me in the time that I've been down there. So it's a really great city and a great stadium to be in. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be on with you lads.
Full marks there. Definitely invited back.
Yeah, definitely. You can come again. And I know you said you obviously in Cardiff for university, so I guess maybe it's not so enjoyable when you're up there. Yeah, is that how it is?
Cardiff on a night out is fantastic. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all
Have
I'm saying.
Have you done Swansea on a night out?
I have not actually done Swansea. I've heard that Wine Street's the place to be, so that's the plan.
Okay, so when you do that, come back to us then. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. Yeah, a couple of my mates go to uni in Swansea, so that's where I bunk on a Tuesday night.
If you bunk there on a Wednesday night, you can go out with the student night with them. I'm sure you'll have a good time.
Sounds good.
But Lee, how was your week been then?
Quiet, to be honest. Just building up for this weekend. There's so much sport going on this weekend with the rugby, which we won't talk about. Yeah, and we had obviously the boxing on Saturday night. Liam Williams was fighting Chris Eubank, wasn't he? So I was just counting down from Monday for the weekend because I knew it was a big weekend coming up. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet, to be honest.
Missed you in the last video, I think.
I was gutted I missed the last
video.
I did
try and get some of your views in there, but
I had so much to say on the transfer window. I just needed to get it out. I think I was just talking to myself, pacing around, because I needed to get it out. So I'm gutted I missed that one, but I did have a listen back.
Maybe you could have a little bit of a say when we get into the news section.
Yeah, it might crop up. Yeah, it might crop up.
I did say about your views on Cham in that video, so I don't know how much they agreed, but
yeah, we'll come on to the game, but I think that still stands.
Okay, before we get started then, don't forget to keep following all our content and keep up to date. Click that red subscribe button. Helps us grow as a channel. We're trying to hit 500. We're nearly there. So really appreciate anyone that helps us out there. And also hit the like button if you enjoy what we're talking about, enjoy what we are doing, sorry. It helps tell us that we're on the right track and you are enjoying what you watch. And as always as well, give us your opinions in the comments. Let us know what you think about Chris's neutral perspective on the game. And And maybe he's going to raise some good points that none of us will have noticed. So we'll wait and see. So let's get straight into the match then. So a little bit of a tough one. I think several people were worried going into this. Not being the best form. I think some people have been citing relegation form, like one win in, what was it, Lee, you were saying the other day? Something ridiculous.
I think it was 1 win in 12, wasn't it? I think before this game.
Could be here or there, a couple of games, but it wasn't good regardless. And we needed to try and turn it around, because as much as I think we still had a bit of a net to the relegation battle, I think some people were starting to peek over their shoulders a little bit anyway. But there is a bit of a gap there, so I'm feeling better now. But yeah, we went on and go and get a win against Blackburn at home. Blackburn obviously fighting at the top end of the championship table. They are currently still sitting second. However, there's Bournemouth behind them with 2 games in hand, 1 point behind. So they're sitting second place on 53 points. I guess lucky for us, their star player was on the bench. They recently remind me, Chilean,
that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Was it Barrington Diaz? Is that how you say his name? Another name. Yeah. So I think that was a positive for us. We mentioned on the last video that he was away in South America on international duty. So, however, I felt the game at the start was quite nervy and quite. I was worried for the first 5 minutes, let's put it that way. So I wasn't quite sure how they were going to set up, and you two were at the game. I wasn't there myself, unfortunately. This week couldn't make it. On paper, when it came out on the team sheet, I thought they were going to go 4-3-3, but it didn't seem to be the case. I don't know if you had any insight in that, Chris, obviously, from the journalism side.
I thought it was 3-4-2-1 when I first saw it. It was a weird one from Russell. I do think that, but I think it was maybe set up to deal with Blackburn more than to become more of a Swansea way. I think the way that you guys have been accustomed, and that I've been accustomed to seeing Swansea, is in that 4-3-3 system. But yeah, I think it was to help deal with the wide players. Ryan Giles, we've seen him in Cardiff this year. Yeah. Has been exceptional, and he's come back now to Blackburn, and was ever more of a threat. So I don't know whether it was to combat him and to combat Niambe on the other side, but yeah, I think it was a good decision from Russell in the end.
Yeah, Lee, what did you make of it down the stadium? Obviously, for me, it missed Kyle Norton. So do you think that had an impact on what was?
Yeah, I think I was going to say I think that injury sort of moved his hand a bit as well in who he could select. But I got to be honest, I did panic when I was walking down to the stadium and saw the team come out, and there was only one recognised centre half in the team. It was only Cabango in that. I couldn't work out for the life of me what he's gonna do. I think the surprise was that he played Wolf as a wing back, because I didn't really have him being able to play in that position. And I will say I think he played very well there as well. But yeah, I did panic before the game. I just thought it was going to go either one of two ways. We were either going to, have all of the ball and all the attacking players that he wedged in as well. We were going to get a couple of goals, or it was going to go pear-shaped, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, where our defence has been a bit all over the place, and they were going to run away with it. But it showed there was another option that he can do with injuries.
Yeah, I think maybe he's been tweaking stuff now for a couple of matches.
Yeah.
The last game, he started with a 5 and went to a 4 after about 5 minutes, which is why I thought this would have been a 4. I thought maybe he's like, right, I've changed it now. I'm going to stick to that, because I thought we did okay, actually, when we went to a 4 in the last game. But yeah, it caught me off guard. I didn't expect Wolf to be wing back, so I had it as Manning, Downs, Cabango and Christie as a back 4, with Grimes and Cham in the middle, and then Wolf, Paterson, Obafemi and Perot up top. But obviously that wasn't the case. He played Wolf wing back, and it was quite similar to what we have been playing, except we had 2 up top rather than the 2 behind the one striker, which is something that Lee, you've been calling for all season, to see what would happen if we did try that, with kind of like Paterson and Cham ahead of Grimes in the middle. Quite interesting, actually. But yeah, Wolf, he has actually played wing back a couple of times in his previous club, only once or twice, I believe. I didn't realise that, but he has done it before, and he didn't look too bad in that position. Although I definitely think I'd rather see him further up the pitch, where you can do a little bit more trickery, because when he was doing that stuff against Luton in midweek, he's exciting. I'm not saying he can't play this role. He was good there as well, but I would like to see more of the attacking side of him. So good option to have that he can play there. But for me, if we can get someone else in that role, preferably, it just allows him to be more expressive going up top. But I'm guessing this new left back isn't quite fit yet, because I know Russell Martin touched on it, that he picked up a knock before they signed him. So they had to assess his physical, if he was fit, basically, and he wasn't on the bench. So I take it that's why Wolf ended up playing the left wing back role. So yeah, bit of a dodgy start. Blackburn had a couple of opportunities. So Chris, I know you would have been obviously taking notes about all the chances early on and what was happening. So how do you think both teams settled in at the start of the game and the beginning of the match and the action?
Yeah, obviously, I'm quite new to Russell Martin's style. I studied it before, obviously, because I was prepping for this role before I started. And Russell Martin had just come in, and I'd seen his style at MK Dons, and it's very patient and it's very possession based. And I was a little bit worried that Blackburn could take advantage of it. I think they could have done. John Buckley playing up front, an unfamiliar role for him, probably could have scored at least one or two in the opening minutes. And I think it was Lenihan just a little bit afterwards who could have scored as well. Yeah, I think Blackburn had the best of the first sort of 10 minutes, but as soon as the goal went in, and I'm sure we'll cover the goal, oh, blimey, I'm getting a phone call. As soon as the goal went in, Swansea looked a completely different side, and I think it was a completely different Swansea in that first sort of 40. Blimey, go away! I'm so sorry about this.
It's all right, no worries.
The first 45 minutes, a completely different Swansea to what I've seen this season in every single game. Like, it was resolute, it was strong defensively, and yeah, I was really, really happy to see it as well, especially with all the fans around me. They were all in a very good way.
Whereby were you sitting?
I can't remember what the actual stand is called, but it's I was just in the center. I don't know if I can send you a photo and you can actually see what it is.
We'll have a look. We'll have a look later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lee, like, obviously Chris has touched upon the improvement of the defense there, which I think on the whole game, when we talk about maybe the end especially, that definitely was the case. But when you were down there, were you a bit worried the first couple of crosses that got fizzed across the box? I think maybe Ryan Giles did a couple. Do you think we were maybe going to concede early? And you said you were worried going into the game when you saw the lineup. So what were your thoughts at the start?
Yeah, I was still in panic mode, still recovering from the selection when I saw it. And well, they just started really well, didn't they? I think they could have easily scored 2 or 3 in that first couple of minutes. I just thought, here we go again. But it probably took a bit of time for us to settle in. I mean, like you said, you've got, Wolf was playing wing back. He hasn't done that before for us anyway. Downs was back into sort of a centre half position. So there was still a bit of adjustment going on, I think, in the first 10 minutes, just getting used to the personnel being there. Yeah, I did panic a bit. I thought, here we go again. It's going to be a long afternoon. But as Chris said, as soon as the goal went in, that kind of settled us down a bit. And it was just 100 times better than what we've seen in recent weeks.
One thing I picked up on in the last couple of games that I've seen is this first 5-10 minutes is not unusual, and teams against us seem to be flying out of the box to try and get an early lead. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. So the press is very, very demanding right at the start from the other team, puts us under a lot of pressure as they're trying to unsettle us, knowing that eventually we'll probably take control of the game, probably take control of the possession. And that did happen after about 10, 12 minutes, I think. I think it was the same against Luton. And Russell Martin did touch on it in his interview afterwards, where he said, for us, it's a lot easier when we score first, and we tend to do a lot better. And the stats show we see games out, we get a lot more points when we take the lead, whereas when it's the other way around, I know it probably sounds a bit obvious, but we find it difficult to come back from behind because of the style of play, because they all sit back then and we can't break them down. Whereas when we go ahead, they have to come out at us and we get the space in behind, which is what we need for the style of play to work. So I think teams know that, and they come out firing, trying to get the ball in our half. That's where we give away most of our opportunities. And the first 10 minutes, it seems quite often that we have to ride the wave and then get over that and start building. So hopefully that's something that can be resolved going further into the season. Talking about the goal specifically then, so I think it was deserved from Michael Obafemi. He's been knocking on the door for a couple of games now. He probably should have scored against Luton, but he finally does put one in the net in this game against Blackburn. And guess who provided the assist? The missing link that we've been speaking about all January. The goals dried up. We didn't know where we were going to get goals from. All of a sudden, Jamie Paterson back in the team puts in a good cross and we score a goal. So is that a coincidence, Chris? From a neutral perspective, you have no maybe loyalty or attachments to anything Patterson's done for the Swans this season. I'm sure you've seen about what's happened with the whole situation. So what are your thoughts on all of that?
The words I said to the guy sat next to me, Matt Burgess, I said the words, that is what happens when you have a creative footballer in your team. He put his head up and he just whipped the cross in, a beautiful cross in, beautifully angled into Obafemi's head. But, you know, Pato is clearly a player who needs love, and he needs, I think he needs license to go and express himself, and to have players like Perot and Obafemi ahead of him really excels his ability. And I think Russell Martin's love for him and the way that he's treated him in this time where obviously he wanted that improved contract. If he didn't get that improved contract, he wanted to move on. You know, the way that Martin's treated him, let him have that time off, and then giving him this time now to excel, and the Swans fans' treatment of him as well. I think it was the perfect solution for him to play this game and to excel, and I think he did that.
Yeah, I think he had a very good game, and I was happy because at the start, I feel like a lot of people were annoyed at it. Myself, Lee, when it first comes out, but then it's important, and I think I said this the first time we talked about it, we don't know the full details, so let's not jump on anything. It is annoying, it's frustrating, we're probably all feeling a certain way right now, but let's wait and see, because we don't really know what's happened. We probably still don't really know the full picture, so until we do, a reserved judgment to an extent. So for him to come back in and the fans to be so welcoming, I'm glad of that, because you see things online and you don't always know if it's going to be the case, but it seems like it was. He said himself about the fans singing his name and how that helped him settle back in, because he said he was nervous coming out for the first time in over a month. But yeah, it was good to see him and get an assist straight back into it. I think that's going to have done wonders for his confidence, and he's going to pick right back up where he left off now as a result of that. And the team as well seemed to bounce off it, I think, as well, him just being there, especially Perot, I think, has missed him a great deal. So to hear about the video call, it just it adds up to me, because I said, like, Perot's lack of scoring has come perfectly with the fact Pat has been out of the team. They've got a bit of a link there. It's clear they have a connection. So to hear the fact that he literally FaceTimed him the second the transfer window closed and sprayed champagne to celebrate him staying, I mean, it's good that he's happy at that result, and hopefully he can start it in the net again soon. Lee, I know you, at the time, like I said, me as well, were frustrated with the actions, but did you welcome him back, and were you happy with what you saw?
Yeah, I was worried that you would get a bad reception. When I saw him starting, which I didn't expect, I thought he might drip feed him back into the team. I was thinking, I think he might get a bad reception here, and it might just sort of spiral the position into like a bit worse than what it already was. But no, I'm glad he got a good reception. He had like a big, massive cheer when his name was read out before the game, and he just seemed to pick up where he left off. I just thought, maybe he might be a bit rusty, he might be a bit nervous, but he just seemed to settle straight back in to what we saw before he stopped playing. And he seemed to be everywhere. And we said the quality for the goal. That's what he's got in the locker. And I think from what I saw yesterday as well in interviews and the way the players reacted, it just seemed like he's such a big character in the dressing room. And I think just having him back on the pitch was a massive lift for everyone, for the fans, for the manager, for the players on the pitch. I just think that the confidence was there, and that was probably hanging over the club for a long time. But I will say as well, I think, like Chris touched on it as well, I think Russell Martin handled it perfectly. He speaks so well. I mean, you know what it's like in the January transfer window. Every game, there's questions about who's coming, who's going. Jamie Paterson was sort of the big one on the agenda for us this time round. I just think everything he said was to the point, and he just handled it so well. And then to put him straight back in the team was a great shout, because he was straight back in, played brilliant, and now is sort of it's all forgotten now, isn't it? Because he played so well. So I think, credit to Martin on that as well.
Yeah. And just want to touch on Obafemi. Obviously, he's had a bit of an indifferent season. He's struggled to make it onto the bench, to come off the bench and play. Not that many starts. There's been questions about his attitude, about how he's settling in, and it's great to see him finally getting a run in the team. A couple of games, started 2 in a row now, and to get on the score sheet. So I feel like that will do him a world of good, and good that Perot perhaps has a little bit of competition now, and it could benefit us as a team going forward, or even the fact that they play together and it gives us another option, and it clearly does, and it worked. You could say this was a trial and we got a win. I know the circumstances in the second half changed, but it's all positives for me going forward, and I'm hoping the club's just boosted the end of the Paterson saga and a goal and the big win against a team like this. Hopefully it's like we've hit the low, and it's going to hopefully come up a little bit and start going in the right direction. In terms of the rest of the first half, then, I feel like after we scored the goal, we kind of controlled the ball for a little bit, kept possession quite well. But towards the end of the first half, Blackburn did come into the game a little bit more again. But I can't remember any massive opportunities they had. Maybe was the one they hit the post in the first half, or?
Yeah, he hit the post and he come back, and
Buckley should have scored the open goal afterwards.
He should have scored. Did you see Ryan Manning's attempt to save it? Luckily, he hit it over because Manning's like diving over, putting his arm out as if to make a save.
Was that before or after his first yellow card?
That was after his first yellow card because he was dead.
I think it was from the free kick that he gave the yellow card away.
Oh, it might have been, yeah.
I thought it was Cabango that done that one, because I just remember Sky Sports absolutely rinsing him for giving away a stupid free kick.
It might have been. It was 2 yellow. I got my tweet here. Is 2 yellows within a minute. It was in Cham at one end and Manning at the other.
Yeah.
The Cham one though, I thought was a bit like,
it was soft, wasn't
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
He just went in for a ball. I guess like his touch was heavy and he's ended up being a bit late. But I don't even know the first Manning yellow card was some things that went away on the other team. I'm sure there was one in the first half where somebody just blatantly booted the ball halfway down the pitch after a free kick was given.
Yeah.
In like the 10th minute or something.
Yeah.
Unless I can't remember if he got booked for that or not, but I was just like, what?
I don't think he did. I think it was Buckley himself, actually. And I don't think he did get booked for that, but he did get booked for simulation. A little bit afterwards, which was, from my angle, the clearest dive I think I've ever seen in my life. So,
and again, I think the ref wasn't gonna book him until he started waving his arms around in the air, asking for a penalty. So, and then he stopped the game, didn't he? And he was like, "Oh, now." Which fair play, because they don't often do that. So we'll take that. But yeah, second half starts. Not really much happened until the main incident, or main talking point of the game, I think. So Ryan Manning did end up getting a second yellow card. You two at the stadium, I'm wondering if you'll share the same view as me, who I watched on TV, had the benefit of the replays and the Sky commentators and all the rest of it. But I didn't think it was a second yellow. I think it was a 50-50, and the Blackburn player, like, they're both going in for the ball. The Blackburn player is running as fast as he can to get there, right? And Manning goes to like play the ball and he hits the guy in his midriff, in his like sort of stomach area, which is a high foot. But he's going to play the ball. His eyes are completely on the ball the entire time. And if the guy's going to come charging in at that speed, then there's going to be contact. So if you're going to start handing out yellow cards every time somebody runs into a challenge and ends up on the floor, what you want the player who's just basically stood there to do? Just don't go for the ball, because the other guy's running. So if he falls over, you're getting booked. That just frustrated me a little bit. And even Sky, like, they're never the most friendly towards Swansea sometimes on the TV. And they even said that they thought it was a bit harsh and a soft yellow card. So, but I'd like to hear your two views on that, Chris. I don't know what you thought of it.
My thoughts were from my angle that if he wasn't on a yellow card, would he be given a yellow card? Probably not. It just didn't. Everyone was in complete shock around the press box, really, as how it was given. Even the Blackburn guys were saying, "How on earth is that?" a second yellow, and some people thought it was a straight red that was given. It definitely wasn't that.
Well, the players were trying to make out like it was
Yeah.
really bad because the guy went down holding his face, which again.
Oh
that really
yeah, it was,
frustrated
wasn't
me.
it? He did hold his face, and I think one of the guys in the press conference asked that to Tony Mowbray, and he said, "Look, it was a foul anyway, despite the fact of our terrible officiating in this league." But it's never a red card for me. His first yellow was definitely a yellow down the other end, but that was not a yellow card in my humble opinion in any way, shape, or form. He's going for the ball. His eyes are on the ball, as you mentioned. I just don't know. I don't know whether it was the fact that he went down holding his face that earned that second yellow, but it's not for me. Definitely not for me.
Lee, I know when you first saw it, I don't know what angle you had from your seat in the stadium, but I feel like you didn't know whether it was or wasn't, so I guess accepted that there was contact, and he probably was letting the ref ask the question, but I don't know what you thought.
I'm sort of like what you see on TV is kind of my view, but a bit further down to the right is kind of my view. But when it happened in real time, my first reaction was he's gone. Because I knew he was on a yellow, and I saw he did that, and I just said, oh, he's gone. It's definitely a second yellow. He's gone. I don't know why, because in real time it looked like his foot was higher, and I just thought, why has he gone in like that? He's given the ref every chance to just give him a second yellow. But then having seen the replay, it was a bit harsh. I think it probably is a foul. I think a yellow card is harsh, but I think it is probably a foul because he does sort of raise his foot a little bit and catch him. He's a bit late. It's probably a foul. But whether I'm a bit on the fence about whether it was a yellow or not. But I think you're right. I think the fact that in real time for me, I thought it was a second yellow. So I'd give the benefit of the doubt to the ref there on that bit. And the worst part of it was the fact that he was holding his head. And I think that was the most frustrating thing. And I think that does maybe sway his opinion.
But I think that shouldn't sway the ref's opinion.
No, I shouldn't.
The linesman he was right next to it, should have seen there was no contact in the head. So that's where I think the linesman needs to have a little bit more, I don't know what the word is here, but tell the referee, look, there was no contact in the head. The player's rolling around on the floor, holding his head. There's something wrong here. I'm not saying that should detract from any punishment maybe Manning should have in the referee's mind, but you should be also then punishing the player for trying to simulate a contact that isn't a contact. Like a head injury is bad, and contact in the head is bad, and that's where maybe you start asking questions of a red card. For him to go down and do that, what's the difference of the simulation asking for a penalty earlier?
Wasn't there a few, I can't remember if it was a few seasons ago, maybe 2 years ago, definitely pre-COVID, but there was a few retrospective bans, wasn't there, for simulation? I remember in the Premier League there was a couple, but that seems to have gone quiet now. I don't know if they've sort of stopped doing that.
What I will say is that I think Tim Robertson got a lot of decisions right yesterday. I think he actually had quite a good game, but I do think that is never a second yellow card. Obviously, the benefit of replays, we can all say, "Oh, should we introduce VAR to the Championship?" But I don't think it would help anything out. In terms of the controversy, we've seen it in the Premier League. It's not helping the controversy whatsoever.
I don't think they'd be able to check that, would they? Because it was a yellow card.
Exactly that. So it's a strange one, but I do think he got that specifically that one decision wrong. But I guess we've got the benefit of replays.
Yeah, I do agree. I think overall he had a decent game. It's just that one decision, which you're going to talk about. It was a big decision at the end, but ultimately, and I'm sure we'll discuss it going into the next part of the game. Maybe that decision ended up helping the final result. But
I've got to be honest though. I think I didn't feel as aggrieved as I have been about other decisions. I can sort of understand why he's given the yellow on that one. So but it's a frustrating one because it could have gone the other way, but I can kind of understand it.
I was just questioning it from the point now that they've both gone in for a 50-50, haven't they? So maybe it's a grey area, but where to draw the line of what a 50-50 is, because he's literally bombing it into that challenge. So I think he is though, isn't he? So I don't really know what you're expecting other than any sort of contact with the other player.
I agree. Do you remember the one with Nani for Man United against Real Madrid a few years ago, where he's put his foot up to bring the ball down, and he doesn't even see the player coming. He has no intention of hitting him, but the player sort of runs into his leg, and he gets a second yellow for it and goes off.
If his foot's up and the player runs into it, and I kind of maybe being cynical, but I kind of feel like the defender was a bit clever because he knew Manning was on a yellow card. So to run at him with that pace in a 50-50 ball, he knows he's going to make the ref have a decision. And I think the only reason I think that might have been what he was doing, I think he had every intention of going down as soon as he felt any contact. Maybe was helped by the fact that Manning did have his leg up, even though it was, for me, completely understandable why he did. I think he's gone down holding his face. So I think his intentions are clear from the moment he ran into that challenge for me. And I think karma ended up coming back.
You got to feel sorry a bit for Manning, because if you think like he had that red and then he didn't, Lansbury didn't get sent off when he absolutely shafted him against Luton away.
Well, I guess again, consistency is another question you can ask, but that could be a whole podcast in itself about the referee and consistency in the league. But let's move on from the red card now. I think everyone's kind of got the same opinion. Some maybe more. I think myself, I'm a bit more frustrated than you two, perhaps, but it's a build-up, I think, of decisions against Swansea this year. The fact that we haven't even had one penalty all season. And
even Tony Mowbray was saying at the end of the game like how bad the standard of refereeing in the EFL is in general. And you hear it from League Two managers, you hear it from Championship managers. Like, it is frustrating, and the only thing you can do is to solve it. Well, I'll put it in football terms for you guys. If you've got a right winger, right, who's good, but you haven't got anyone to challenge him, you know, he won't go on and improve. There's not enough referees to improve the standard. If you know what I mean. I'm a qualified referee myself, right? And it's so frustrating watching actual referees do it. But then you put yourself in their shoes and you think, oh, actually, what I would do, what if I bottled that? You know, what if I didn't give that decision? It's such a difficult one.
Yeah. I don't know what the fix is, but I think something needs to be.
It definitely does need to be sorted.
The standard, especially this year, I think has been pretty poor. Again, I don't know what the fix is, and I don't think VAR is the fix at the moment. I know we touched on that, but that's not at the moment, so I don't have an answer.
I always maintained a system like they use in rugby would have just worked, but I know they don't want to start the game. But if VAR is doing that anyway, then I don't see why they can't implement a more of a TMO system that just works better. Maybe they're on about changing rules in football in general. I know we're talking a bit off topic here. And I think also one of the things I heard floated around was maybe lowering the actual 90 minutes down because there's so much stoppage. They don't actually play 90 minutes of football. And they were talking about that conversation, I think, quite a lot. So if they did lower it down and add the whole like stop the clock when like rugby does, I don't see why that it can't work for football. And if it means things are getting done better and decisions are more correct and all the rest of it, isn't that what you want, really?
Yeah,
there's enough time wasting that goes on in a 90-minute game anyway for them to just be like, he's kicking the ball away, take a time off.
I don't even think they necessarily need to stop the game in football, and you don't want that because it's such a free-flowing game. But like, you see so many. If you watch a game, particularly if you watch it on Sky, you just see so many replays instantly. Couldn't there be, another ref sort of watching it as the game is on? Quick replay straight away. Oh, look, you need to sort this out. You've had a mare on this one.
Yeah, just get in his ear, innit? Oh, you need to have a look at this challenge, and then he stops the game and has a look at the challenge.
Yeah, but again, I have no idea how to fix it.
But maybe we'll have maybe in the summer we can revisit that topic when there's no games to talk about. But move on to the second half. Right, Manning goes off. A little bit of a shake-up then is needed. So Ncham and Obafemi make way for Corey Smith and Ryan Bennett. You know, the task at this point now comes to just protect the 1-0 lead to get the 3 points, defend, which is perhaps something we haven't really seen from Russell Martin and the team all season, is this style of play. It went back to a little bit more Steve Cooper-esque in the way they defended the 1-0 lead, bodies on the line, and actually they did it really well. People have questioned the defending, but the defending was actually really good, I thought, for the rest of the game. And I think it just proves they haven't forgotten how to defend. The issues that we've had with the defence this season have come from gaps in the system and inconsistencies and still adjusting to that when it comes to ultimately just defending and sitting back and doing, first and foremost, defend the goal, which is what Steve Cooper probably drilled in for them 2 years. they can still do that very well. So Ryan Bennett comes on, slots in a centre back where Manning basically came from, and Smith slots in for Cham. Later on, then there was a last substitution which Perot came off for Latabaudiere, who went into the wing back role, and they put Wolf up top. My view on this was, because people will question why Perot was coming off, but I think he wanted Pato and Wolf to kind of be an option to break away if we did get a counter-attack opportunity, and Wolf did have a couple of runs where he was able to do so. Paterson had the ball a couple of times as well, but I think was very tired and couldn't manage to pick his head up and have a look. The Wolf was standing a couple of feet ahead of him, free, but yeah, but we'll let him off on that one. But how did you make of the defensive effort then, Chris, after the red card and the rest of the game?
I thought it was fantastic. As you mentioned, we're not really used to that under Martin whatsoever. I mean, but despite the fact I think they got 12 clean sheets this season, Swansea, which is quite a remarkable stat when you consider Martin's style. When it comes to the way that they defended, I think it came a little bit down. I don't want to play it down, but I think Blackburn were a bit one-dimensional. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Their crossing was poor. They didn't find Brereton Diaz's feet enough. They were all going for cross. There was one. I think Fisher was tested once.
Yeah,
and that was a looping header from Van Heck.
Yeah.
That was it. Like that. I do think Swansea defended well, but I think it was a lot down to the way that Blackburn attacked rather than the way Swansea defended.
Yeah.
I think that Lenihan should have scored like twice, shouldn't he?
Yeah, first half, definitely.
He had one where it came through to the back post, and he sort of mishit it wide, which is a massive chance. He had one where he had a really good chance as well, which sort of just swerved away over the crossbar, which I thought was in from my angle.
I think Karma came back a little bit there for holding his head on the floor. But Ryan Giles was a good spark down the left for them. But everyone was raving about him, saying how good he was playing. But I thought that Christie was very good again out to him and blocking a cross. He blocked so many crosses coming in from Giles. Fair play. I thought he had a really good game there. And the other one I have mentioned in regards to Blackburn's play is Ryan Hedges, former Swans Academy product. Didn't realise he'd got to move to Blackburn, working his way back up the leagues. But luckily he didn't come back to haunt us either. But Lee, what did you make of the second half then?
Yeah, no, I agree with what Chris said. I think we set up well. We set with 5 across the back essentially at the end. I thought we set up well, but apart from the 3 chances that we spoke about, Blackburn didn't really create that much. And my father, who was sat next to me after 10 minutes of the red card, he said, they're not going to score here. You just see the way we've set up and the way that they're attacking. He was confident. He never says anything like that. He's the first one to say, this is it. We're going to lose this game. And he said, no, I'm pretty confident here that we're not going to concede. And I gave him a bit of a dirty look, but he was right. No, he's right in the end.
I'm glad his words didn't come back to haunt him, because that would have been a nice one.
I think we looked pretty comfortable. Like Chris said, Blackburn didn't cause too many problems, and I think the defense was pretty solid. So I did get an answer to something that I was worried about as well, because I thought after the transfer window and after we lost against Luton, I was in a bit of a mood, shall we say, towards like our chances. I thought we're looking over our shoulder now and getting a bit worried. And I just thought, like, if we do get dragged into a dogfight, relegation, I don't think that we had the players to sort of dig us out when you need those big moments. And I think, they did that on Saturday. And I think it showed players like Ryan Bennett coming on how good he is at actually defending. I know he's got a lot of criticism this year because he's playing in that system which doesn't suit him. And he's been slated by some fans for being slow and giving goals away and whatever. But when he needed to come on and defend, I thought he was pretty good. And Cabango as well, alongside him. I thought they were pretty solid.
Cabango's been described as a colossus the last couple of games. I think Russell Martin has been very impressed with his improvements, and it does show, because couldn't really get in the team to start the season. We highlighted on here that he does need to improve his ball play and adapt to this new style, but maybe he had age on his side that would allow him to do so. And it does seem that he is finally getting to grips with it a little bit. There's a couple of times where he tries to run out of the back when he's in the corner and runs into trouble and gives the ball away. But I'm sure with more time, those sort of things and decision making will still improve a little bit more there. Fisher as well. You've just someone touched on him, perhaps not having to make the most amount of saves. But I thought, like, people have questioned, did we need a keeper? Did we need to spend money on a keeper when we couldn't spend money elsewhere, like O'Reilly and all this other stuff? And you could talk about what you thought the priorities were. Obviously, Russell Martin identified he wanted a keeper to play his system. I think it's quite clear that he's going to be going Fisher long term now, first choice. I don't really see a way Ben Hamer gets back into the team other than like injury or cup matches now. But he had a bit of a ropey start against Luton, but his distribution is like, when he's under pressure, sometimes you just want the keeper to kick it upfield and just get rid of it. I felt like every time he was doing that, he was still picking out a pass. Doesn't mean the player always won it, with a header or whatever, but he was quite pinpointing his long ball and his distribution. And I'm assuming that's literally the reason why he's been brought in to play this system, because he's so comfortable on the ball. So that is a positive as well, I thought. Lee, I don't know what you thought of Fisher's performance. Obviously, first time you've seen him firsthand.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought he was pretty good. I was impressed, especially with his distribution. Yeah, he made a couple of good saves as well. There was one save in the first half, I think, which he got down well too. So yeah, he ticked all the boxes for me. There was one passage of play in the first half where I think they just passed it around between, Grimes, Downs, and Cabango and the keeper for ages, and then eventually they got through, and Grimes nearly plays Obafemi in, and I think you would have seen that goal for years to come, because there were so many passes in the build up to it, and I was just thinking, just get rid of it now, because they were just passing it around the back, and Fisher was involved in that as well. So I think you can definitely see why he brought him in. I was one of the ones that said I don't think we needed a keeper. I didn't think that was a priority, but yeah, it showed yesterday, especially if they can get him in, and the way they pass out of the back there, I think it's it seems good, looks good to me.
Yeah, I think touching on the post-match interviews, obviously we talked about this different style of play that Swansea played and the rigid defensive stuff, which doesn't really happen under Martin. The Blackburn manager, Tony Mowbray, came out and said that, I think he was quite confident pre-match, wasn't he, saying that they know exactly how to play against Swansea. They prepared exactly what they need to do. They know how to play against us. And he came out afterwards and said, we prepared to play against Swansea, not a low block. And I mean, it's good that everyone said Russell Martin, I've got a plan B. I know this was forced with a red card, but it shows that there's something else in the locker. And as for his comment saying about we prepared to play against Swansea, all I want to respond to that is, you were 1-0 down when you were playing against Swansea. The only reason you had to play against a low block was because of the red card after we'd already scored. So, they had 54 minutes to get a goal against Swansea, as he said, and he didn't do that. So just wanted to put that out there. But Chris, I want to ask you, who do you think was the man of the match from Swansea's perspective in this one?
I've got to say Cabango, honestly. Absolute man mountain. And not only that, the way that he distributed the ball in this game is the best I've seen him. I saw him about 5 or 6 times last season, and this is the second time this season. He is improving drastically. Russell commented on it in his press conference that how much he's working hard in training, how robust he is for such a young lad. He plays a lot of football, and honestly, I'm so happy the fact that he's playing not only for Swansea on a regular basis, but I think he's going to be a regular for the Welsh national team for a long time. He really has so much talent, and there's a Premier League player in there, whether it's for Swansea.
Don't say that.
Whether it's for Swansea or whether it's not, there is definitely a Premier League player in Ben Cabango.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we forget how young he is as well. Like, he seems to have just been around for ages. I think we do forget how young he is. Sometimes he is still being molded, essentially. And I think since Russell Martin said about him trying to sort of get his World Cup place, potential World Cup place for Wales, since then I think he's been brilliant, and especially yesterday he was class.
Who's your man of the match then, or are you going to say?
There was a few good performances yesterday. I think Wolf at left wing back, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he played really well, especially when he got put up front in the end. There was one bit of play where he sort of got through about 4 players, and he sort of nearly gets through. I just thought he was brilliant. He just seemed to run forever yesterday. So I thought he was good. Might be an easy one, but I got to say Paterson. I just think the occasion and everything that's gone on, the performance that he put in, I thought he was brilliant. And if he scored that that long shot with the keeper heads it out, that would have been a moment forever. I really wish that went in, so I got to edge it to him. I thought he was brilliant.
I think the fans generally voted Paterson on the Swans site as well. I don't know who got the official award in the game. I don't know if Chris, you know who that was.
I can't remember, to be honest.
I think Paterson had it off Sky.
Okay.
I don't know. Ian Mitchell said it was, but I think he might have said Flynn Downs as well. Was right.
Another moving to centre back. Very good performance from Flynn Downs. SofaScore's got Andy Fisher with the highest rating, so it just shows, doesn't it?
Everyone.
That the whole team just.
And I tell you what, as well, a massive shout out to the Swansea fans. The antithesis between Luton and this game, I don't know whether it's because it's a smaller club or whether it was a weekday or whatever, but the difference in the fan base between Tuesday and Saturday, it was ridiculous. It was like two different clubs, two different fan bases, honestly.
I think it was a cross between midweek and just after the transfer window, and a lot of people were annoyed after the transfer
and they roared them home. They genuinely roared them home.
Yeah.
I don't think Swansea would have won that game without the fans. 100%.
Yeah, it was rocking yesterday. I haven't seen that.
The goal helped. Like after the goal, they had something to cheer and hold on to, and it was like, okay, we've seen a turning point here. Or do you think that helped? Like if it was the other way around, a Blackburn go 1-0 up, do you think you get the same?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely got a sense of frustration from obviously the transfer window. There's limited players brought in the positions that Swans fans expected. And obviously the performance against Luton, in my opinion, was nowhere near the one that was displayed yesterday, despite the result. Like it's not about results, as Russell Martin said. It's not about in this process. It's not about it as much as people would expect. But the performance yesterday was so much better, both defensively and offensively. And I think the fans responded to that really, really well.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair enough. Okay, I don't think there's anything more for me to say on this game. Anything final words for either of you two before we move on?
Oh, good.
The only thing I was going to say, a bit controversial, I just think Obafemi, like you touched on it, I think Obafemi sort of putting his hand up over Perot. I think Perot's been quite quiet for a long time now. I think since before Christmas. And Obafemi looks sharp. I think he's looking really good at the moment. Whether that changes again in a few weeks if he has a strop about something and he's back out of the team again. But I was surprised he took Obafemi off before Perot. I thought leave him on because he was running and he looked sharp. I just thought leave him on, but he got it right in the end.
Maybe the press, he does credit Perot as our best presser from the front, doesn't he? He says that he leads the press well. Do you think maybe you won't have to pick one or the other if he's going to stick with this system going forward, or perhaps now Paterson's reintroduction will boost Perot and you'll have two strikers that are firing. So, otherwise, if you're picking the one, he could be.
I think you play all three. You definitely play all three. The way that they linked together last game, and the way that Obafemi and Perot reacted in the press conference for Pato, was brilliant. So I think they all love playing with each other. I think Obafemi complements Perot. I think Perot complements Paterson. I think Paterson complements all of them. I think they work well together as a three. I think Obafemi works well wide as well. So definitely worth pursuing that avenue.
Yeah, I think Martin touched on the fact that it worked. They complement each other, Obafemi and Perot as well. So perhaps it's in his thinking going forward to keep that as the system going forward. Speaking of Paterson, then we'll go to the word of wine on Wine Street, which, if you don't know, Chris, is our little news section.
I love it.
a little name for it, but I haven't really got too much to talk about. Obviously, it's a bit of a quiet week or two now, probably after the transfer window. But the big news, which we did already talk quite a bit about, was obviously this Paterson situation. And putting that behind us is kind of like what the agenda is here and what the news is. So he has come out and basically stated that he doesn't blame the fans for being angry, but he does want to stay here longer now. And he's basically saying, he wants to find a resolution to sort out a contract that ties him down long term. So can we see this happening? Or?
I hope so. I hope so for your guys' sake. I mean, this lad is, I genuinely think, and I know it's not as simple as that, but this guy can create and score goals in a side that doesn't create and score goals. in that way. You know, he came in yesterday and changed it for me in that manner. So I genuinely hope he does stay, because I think he can excel so much in this side.
Yeah, Lee.
Yeah, I really hope he stays, because I think we said about the way Russell Martin handled it. I think they get on well. He obviously wanted him and brought him to the club. I think long term, if they can get him in and be part of a couple of year project with Russell Martin, I think that'll be brilliant. But the Swansea fan in me says that it's potentially just the paper over the crack job for now. If they couldn't get something done in January, we may see something done in the summer. But I'm hoping that's not true. I'm hoping that's not true, and we can tie him down for a bit longer.
I like to feel like trusting what Russell Martin is saying, and it wasn't about money, and just about maybe he's on about the fact he wants to feel loved and feel like he's at home, isn't he? He doesn't want to be put back in the situation like he was in the summer where he's uncertain about his future and all the rest of it. So if he's asking for a longer term contract, perhaps he wants something that sees him until like a retirement age, because he's not too far off. Perhaps looking at that, if you give him 3 or 4 years, for example, he'd be 34 then. So as a winger, probably wouldn't have too long left after that. So I guess if you give him like maybe you want with the extension, like rather than just 1 year, like you've done well. So yeah, we will extend, but let's renew a contract and give you another year or two. And that would have been all fine and rosy then, and that's what he was after. So hopefully they can find a resolution. And I feel like it's in the club's best interests to do it, because it's going to be a lot cheaper if someone comes in for him in the summer with 1 year left on his deal than if they do manage to give him a couple more years and someone still wants him, they have to pay for him. So
yeah, we'll hope in between now and the summer they can get something sorted, because that would be massive.
Yeah. Okay. Looking forward then, the build up to this week. We've got Stoke City versus Swansea City as we go away to Stoke on is it Tuesday?
Tuesday night.
Cold Tuesday night up in Stoke.
I was over the moon, because I lost control of the fixtures at the moment because there've been so many games. So after Saturday, I thought it was a week break, but there's full fixture list in midweek, Premier League, Championship, everything. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then we have Bristol City visiting on the weekend, where we're kind of becoming the team of Bristol City past players slowly. Paterson and Walsh joining us this year. We had Corey Smith. Last year. Yeah. I feel like I'm missing someone else as well, but I wonder who we'll get this season. Who's out of contract there now?
But go there this year.
Yeah, I believe he said that was on TV as well on Sunday.
Yeah, on Sky.
Yeah, 1 o'clock kickoff.
Nice. So yeah, if you can't get to the games this week, then it's all on the telly. So enjoy that. But going up just the Stoke game specifically, then it's hard to kind of look at the team selection for Bristol without seeing the midweek. So we'll stick to Stoke. But any changes you think, Chris, required or perhaps necessary for the opposition, or if there's any maybe injuries or not? Because I know Manning's not going to be available. So
yeah, I think what you have to do, especially in the Championship, is stick to a winning formula. If you beat a team like Blackburn Rovers in the way that they did, then surely going up to Stoke, you want to be defensively solid and stick with the system. I think he'll do that. Probably bring Ryan Bennett in. I definitely wouldn't be surprised about that. But yeah, apart from that, I don't see there being many changes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think so many. Lee, have you got any insight on that?
No, I think Manning being out is a difficult one, and depending if Norton is fit again.
He's already confirmed he won't be here, I think.
He's not. Okay, that's
not
fine.
Will be.
So yeah, I think Bennett probably comes in. I think we probably need another centre back to start away from home rather than having just the one. But yeah, other than that, maybe brings in Corey Smith to start just to be a bit more solid away from home rather than having all those attacking players playing. But that's maybe the only two changes I can see. Maximum.
For me, I would, if Downs is going to play centre back, then I would rather, if he's going to swap and Cham out for one of them, perhaps, I'd rather Fulton start over Smith. I just think...
Yeah, I agree.
In the holding role, I just think, especially against a team like Stoke as well, he gives us that bit of height. and he likes to stick his foot in. And I think maybe a team like Stoke, we need that. Not knocking Corey Smith or anything, but I would just like to see Fulton if that was going to be a change. But I'm wondering whether you'll just stick to the same, to be honest, and just replace Manning. I agree, probably it will be Bennett that comes in. But what does concern me is if it's Bennett, Flynn Downs, and Cabango in the back three, there's not an awful load of pace if Stoke do get in behind. And that's where we've struggled when we have played the likes of Bennett and Cabango together this season in the past. So that would be interesting to see what happens there.
Stoke have got Josh Maja now, haven't they? So he's got pace. That'd be something that'd be worrying, I think, for if they did play those three.
Yeah, so that's something I think is worth bearing in mind. Like, I don't know. Obviously, we haven't seen Finley Burns yet. I don't know what sort of centre back he is, like how good he is on the ball. What's his pace like? I'm not really sure. So I'm wondering whether he perhaps will make an appearance. But it'll be interesting. And whether, I guess, Ogbeta is available, and if he comes in left back, and that frees perhaps Wolf to go further forward, which might see Ncham drop out that way instead. But I would be surprised, perhaps, after Wolf showing a wing back if he does put Ogbeta straight in, especially away from home. What did surprise me, though, obviously Swans are up to 16th now. We jumped 2 positions or 3 positions, I believe, with that win. 35 points. So you're saying about perhaps looking over your shoulder. We do have a 15-point gap to the relegation zone. So I'd like to think we're going to be fighting this season. I really don't think we're going to get dragged down there. Peterborough have lost 4 out of their last 5. Barnsley just losing every single game they're playing. And Derby, as much as they went on a good run and looked like getting out of it, they've tailed off a little bit in the last couple of matches again now. So they've still got some ground to make up. And that's without Reading, who was sitting in 21st, who have also lost their last 5 games. So I think we've got enough to not be worried about that. But I thought Stoke were having a good season. And I know they started really well and they were around the playoffs for quite a bit of the first half of the season. But they're now only 4 points ahead of us, 2 positions ahead of us in 14th. So they've actually been tailing off the last couple of weeks. So when they smashed us earlier this season, where they really did give us a hide-in at our own stadium, I'm wondering whether we can offer a little bit more this time.
Yeah, it's the Sam Clucas derby again.
Is he playing?
We got to beat them because it's still mad in how many times he scores against us and celebrates like mad. We've got to beat them. But I assume he's playing.
16 million he was? Something like that?
Yeah, it's bad times.
He played in their last game against Wigan in the FA Cup.
Yeah, he'd probably be there. I think, well, even if he doesn't play any game of the season, you play him against Swansea home and away. Because he plays, he always plays well.
So let's have a look. Wigan, he came off the bench against Wigan, and in the last championship game, he didn't start. So perhaps he's not in favour. He's an unused substitute.
You've got to start him. You've got to start him.
But Joe Allen as well, isn't it? Joe Allen's there as well.
Oh,
he's lost. Yeah. He started against Wigan, but again, he didn't start the last game in the championship. So perhaps they're not in the.
That's Joe Allen. Joe Allen, obviously I'm a Liverpool fan. I share that with Swansea fans. I do love a bit of Joe Allen. As well as Sam Clucas, who used to play for my local club Hereford, so I can't complain.
Oh yeah.
That's what he came from, isn't it? Crazy that is. I don't know how we paid so much money for him, mind.
I don't understand how you manage that one, to be fair.
Did you used to watch him at Hereford?
And I saw a couple of games of him. He was all right, but that was when.
Did you ever think he was going to be sold for 15 million?
Never. 16 million, maybe 16,000. Never 16 million.
Well, I hope these words don't come back to bite us.
He's definitely scoring, by the way. He's definitely scoring.
We'll be sat here
the last 2 games against us, I think.
We'll be sat here on Tuesday night crying when he scored again and taking his shirt off and
it's all right.
in the air.
It gets me a good thumbnail when he does it. So
I gotta be honest though. Do you remember that? Was it last season when he just run the length of the pitch to get to the away fans like Adebayor style? Like Adebayor style, Part of me thinks that's hilarious if it wasn't us.
To be fair, it's our own fault because we gave him so much stick. And not just in person. I think there's a lot of messages on, what it's like on Twitter and stuff these days. People like to go in on these players, even though they never going to see him or whatever. You know what it's like online. So I think he's read enough of that where he comes to play against us, and it's just like, well, who's laughing now?
Effectively.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens on that one. Sam Clucas derby. Hopefully he won't score, and we'll be celebrating a win up in Stoke. I think it's been a while since we've done that, so it will be nice to get it. Oh, Ben Wilmot's there as well. There's another one.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
5 on some ex-Swansea player to score a goal in that game. So
yeah.
and Bristol City then. So I would like to see if Paterson can stay in the team and get some consistent, get back up to his standards. I wonder if he'll score against his former club.
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah.
Be nice. Be nice for him. I think he deserves a goal now. Obviously, he got that assist. It'd be great to see him score, especially against Bristol City. To be honest with you, he just seems like a cracking lad. To be honest, so I feel really bad for him. I really do. Obviously, you guys have had the frustrations, but the mental health break. I think he obviously expected a lot different to what he was told. And I just genuinely hope he goes on and does really well. I think you guys are the same. I have so much faith in the fact that he can help Swansea, lift their season's expectations now.
Yeah, I think so. Like the club have been very supportive. Obviously, Russell Martin was, and even Julian Winter in his programme notes. I think if it was a bad situation, you'd expect the club wouldn't be so supportive, or like they would have fined him, and they didn't fine him. So I'd like to think that it is done and dusted, and we can move on.
Yeah,
and he's got a good future, and maybe goes nuts in the next Cardiff game as well, and proper cement his status in Swansea folklore. But that's a couple of months away yet. So on that note, they did lose today, actually, didn't they? They lost against Liverpool in the cup.
They did.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chris.
That's absolutely cracking.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Speaking of cup games as well, Steve Cooper did well.
They did. They beat Leicester, didn't they? 4-1.
Looks like Leicester had full team out as well, did they?
Pretty sure, yeah. Brennan Johnson scored as well. Happy days.
Yeah,
he megged the keeper, I think, didn't he? But look, Steve Cooper plays too boring, so it doesn't matter if they're beating Leicester 4-1. It's too boring.
How do you explain the way everyone hated him?
No one hates him anymore. It's funny. It's only been
you don't see it now.
Everyone wanted him gone in the summer. Oh, that playoff final, he was already out the door when him gone. And I was like, oh my god, they're beating Leicester in the cup. Like,
I remember when he was here, and we came on here so many times to defend him, and we were just between me and Luke just reading out tweets that people had said about Cooper, and I still had them. I still had the screenshots. I was looking at earlier during the game, and there were ones Swansea City's going to die unless Cooper is out of the club, and
funny that some of these people are now on social media saying how well he's doing at Forest, and
it's fickle, isn't it? It really is fickle.
God, yeah,
it's crazy. And all I want to say is, if he had a striker last season, it just shows what, with a little bit of backing, he got a lot of what he had.
You lads have Rhian Brewster last season, you go up.
I think we're second if we had Rhian Brewster last season.
100%. 100%. He went to the wrong club, and it really angers me.
Yeah.
And does he even play now?
He plays on the right wing for Sheffield United.
Does he score much? Or? No. What about McBurney? Is he playing these days?
I don't know, but I'll have a look how much he's playing, though.
I feel like both of them have just their careers died.
Usually McGoldrick, isn't it? I think plays more up front.
3 goals in 14 games this season in the league. Brewster.
Who's that, Brewster?
Yeah. He could have so much more, and it angers me.
Shame we can't afford players like that anymore.
I tell you what, with Cooper and Forest, if they get anywhere near the playoffs and they, go up, I could see him going to Forest with Cooper. Yeah.
You'll definitely get him. You will definitely get him, and probably some of the other ones. Is Gallagher's on loan, isn't he, at Palace?
Yeah.
If Forest go up, he'll be on loan at Forest next year.
God, the team that we had Gallagher and Brewster and Guehi. in the same
Yeah,
team.
and it's no coincidence the second half of that season was so good for us, and we ended up pipping Forest to the playoffs, didn't we?
Oh yeah, go on, yeah.
And then they haven't been good until he came and rescued them.
Yeah. We'll leave
But
that
there we
one.
are. I think that's a good note to end on anyway. So thank you both for joining me. It's been a good discussion.
I will say, Chris, you enjoyed your day at Swansea again, then you enjoyed the whole experience.
Oh, absolutely. The whole club is a fantastic, really welcoming club. Every single member of staff that I've spoken to has been helpful, has been really, really kind. The media room is fantastic. I do profess that I did rock up at 1:30 yesterday because I thought it was a 3:00 kickoff, which was really shocking. But I'll tell you what, I got absolutely ripped apart by the stewards. But no, it was brilliant. And I tell you what, I'm really happy that you guys are welcoming me in, and hopefully you guys will help me invite me back on again. That'd be great.
Definitely. I think it's been good insight. It's always good, like I said at the start, to get a perspective of someone that's not attached, because I think sometimes you can be a bit biased. Obviously, we all are to an extent. But
you ask me any question about Liverpool, my red tinted glasses are on, so I know exactly how you're feeling.
I do want to know what's going on with Salah. Like, why are they not just giving him a new contract?
Just give him a contract. Just give him a contract.
But maybe that's a touchy subject. We'll stick to Paterson and contract disputes. But thank you for coming on. We'll definitely have you on again. Our aim going forward, and just for the listeners out there, we want to try and mix things up and get a different viewpoint on every week. I'm sure you'll be back again soon to offer your insight after a couple more games and maybe tell us about how you think things are going.
Yeah. Do you have any more Swans games lined up at the moment, or is it?
I'll be up at all the home games for the rest of the season, I believe.
Oh, lovely stuff.
So
awesome.
Hopefully I'll be there, and maybe some away games as well. Hope maybe Bristol City, West Brom, all the ones in the local sort of area. Yeah. So that's the plan.
Well, feel free to tag us in your articles and stuff, and we'll get them shared, and I'll share them anytime I see them as well. But I'm sure everyone will enjoy reading your stuff online. So once again, thanks for coming on. We'll see you again soon, and thank you, Lee, for joining me. And on that note, we shall say goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe to see Chris in the future 100%. Again. Yeah,
it'd be ridiculous if you didn't. It's amazing content.
Yeah, and also if you liked what he brought to the table today and liked his neutral views on the club, don't forget to hit that like button and tell us in the comments what you liked, or if you disagree with him, then tell us as well, so we can relay that information about why he was wrong. I'm sure he would love to hear it. So
absolutely,
get those comments in, and we shall see you in the next video. But thank you very much.